call from a restricted number who left a voicemail, and Caitlin Edwards sent me a voicemail and typed a bunch of angry things. Some of them were very mean, but I want you to take a look at me. I've been mean too. But at least I've been honest. If you tell me that your daughter was molested, then we need to turn in the person who did it right away. Otherwise, the victim will be stuck in a situation where they not only have to normalize with the situation, but they have to normalize the abuse. They have to lie to themselves, tell them it's okay, it's no big deal. Eventually, I will turn 18. And when I turn 18, these things won't happen to me anymore. But there's a long time between 9 and 18. She'll be twice as old as she is now before she's allowed to do any of that. How many years of abuse can a person endure? Natalie Bollinger, when I met her, she was, according to her, 13 years of age. 13 years of age when her dad started sending her and her twin sister down to the library in Boulder, Colorado to sell drugs. Were we friends, or was she a drug dealer? She was a drug dealer. Did we hang out, or did we know of each other? We did not hang out. We knew of each other. Did I know she was being molested by her dad and raped by her dad when she was 13? No, I didn't. But I could see the scars on her arms. I knew chances were pretty good that, number one, her daddy was raping her, and number two, mommy didn't care. Number one, daddy was raping her, and number two, mommy didn't care. That's only according to statistics, though. Statistically, 80% of the time, your rapist is going to be your dad. The person who is molesting your children is going to be one or the other parent 80% of the time. Now, we've come to realize recently that we have to increase that number a lot because we tend to look away from a mother doing those things because we want to pretend that a mother would not do such things. A mother wouldn't do those things, sure, like a mother wouldn't choose alcohol and abusive men over her own kids. Bullshit. Bullshit. Like a mother wouldn't choose heroin over her own son. Well, let's take a look. Between Christine Buhit, who is on heroin, and Ed Simmons, who is on heroin, and the son that they had together, who is not on heroin, Ed Simmons got off the fucking heroin, and he went to be a dad. I have nothing but respect for the man for that. Yes, he slipped up. He even slipped up once while he had his son with him. Yes, that is a horrible thing. It truly is. Should he be punished for all eternity because he did slip up? Should he be punished and judged here on earth because he slipped up? Or should Christine be the one who's punished for, number one, abandoning her family, and number two, using them as pawns when she didn't get what she wanted? If Ed Simmons, after getting their son, which Christine didn't want to have anything to do with their son, she only talked about her son when she could use her son to get sympathy. She had never met her son. She had seen her son twice in his life. The day he was born. And of course, according to Ed, Christine did go to harass him. Not directly, though. No, she tried to accuse Ed Simmons of being some sort of fucking pervert. When I told him about the situation with Natalie, here's something everybody did. Most of the guys I know have stories that they want to tell as soon as I start explaining it. Per exemple, well, there's a gentleman named James Golden, and he was telling me about how his ex-girlfriend, when she kicked him out of the house, when he kicked her out of the trailer, James Golden kicked her out of the trailer because it was his trailer, and she went around and told everybody that he raped her and she had to run away. No, he fucking kicked her out. She never, ever attempted to press charges on him. She just ran around to his friends and family saying he did such a thing. After that, he didn't date women. Women were always hitting on James in front of me. He said, I'm not going to fucking touch them. I will not touch them. When I tried telling him that I'm having to go through that over a couple of girls who live in Virginia. By the way, I found out later that they weren't actually in Virginia anymore. They were both in Colorado, both hanging out with the same junkies that they had hung out with before, the same junkies that they needed to escape Colorado to get away from. See, that's the thing about me going to Virginia and not even smoking pot. I quit smoking pot 2 weeks before I left Virginia, and I was in Virginia for 3 weeks. That means that I was sober for 5 weeks. Did they take a whiz quiz? No. They should have. They'd have realized that I had nothing in my system, nothing at all, not Advil, not Tylenol, not methamphetamines, not marijuana, not cocaine, not heroin, nothing. Not a goddamn thing in my system. Now, when I told them that I'd quit smoking pot 2 weeks before I came to Virginia, what do? Every hospital does this. They wrote down marijuana use. You should have taken a whiz quiz. Same thing with Kandace Bondurant. I'm like, Kandace, the standard thing to do in this situation is to take a whiz quiz. I need to take a whiz quiz. She wanted to argue about it. Well, why do you want to do that, Sean? Because it shows I'm fucking sober, dummy. These people are accusing me of being a fucking druggie. They're accusing me of being a fucking junkie. They're accusing me of being a fucking child molester and a rapist and a murderer. Why the fuck do you think I want to take a fucking whiz quiz? Why do you think I want to take a UA? To show I'm the one fucking telling the truth. Natalie was the one on fucking drugs, not me. Kandace wouldn't do it. Outright fucking refused. I never got my hospital paperwork from there, by the way. That's against the law. They're supposed to give me that paperwork. Supposed to give it to me before I even leave the hospital. Kandace Bondurant claimed that she was going to bring it home for me, and she never did. She said, well, Dr. Craig says that you're autistic as fuck. And, what was the other one that she told me? She said my wrist was not broken. According to Angie Robb, One of the physicians that I had to see about this, she believed it would be carpal tunnel. She didn't care to hear the story about how I've had this issue since Officer Whale and Lolatai tried to break my wrists and tried to pick me up off of the ground in a technique that is a torture technique. Let me tell you about the Vietnam War. In Vietnam, it was common for American soldiers to be found with their arms behind their backs tied together. And then what do? They tie a rope in between your wrists while your hands are behind your back, and they pull you up into a tree. Just a couple inches off the ground so you can't kick off the ground. Sometimes if you were in good physical shape, they'd tie weights to your feet. But when you got a backpack on and they're tying your hands around the backside of your backpack and your rucksack and they're dangling you that way, sure, you can try to get something out of your rucksack, but you're really just in excruciating pain. I mean, this is wrenching on both of your shoulders at once, and all of that weight wrenching on them backwards the wrong way. Excruciatingly painful. And even worse, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of crucifixion, but this is a very painful way to die. And this is literally the same thing. The stretching of the chest, excruciating pain. And that's what Officer Whale and Lolatai and his buddies decided was okay. And I do have damage from it. Whether you want to call it carpal tunnel, nerve damage, carpal tunnel is nerve damage. So one of the things that she was talking to me about was cutting my wrists. I don't mean in a suicide attempt, I mean as a surgery. Apparently there's like a wristband, basically, is what she explained. It goes around this area. And if they clip that wristband, it should relieve some of the pressure and the tension, and I should be able to use my hands better without the pain. I should be able to actually squeeze a little bit harder. But Kandace was able to verify that my wrist was not broken. It was very specifically my right wrist that I thought was broken. I'm right-handed. I used to be left-handed when I was a little kid. But I asked my mom when I was about 4 or 5, I was on a home visit. And I remember asking my mom, which hand is my right hand and which hand is my left? And she said, which hand do you write with? And I said, this one. And she said, no. She grabbed a hold of my right hand and she said, you write with your right hand. And from there on in, I practiced every day. I mean, I would have been 5, not 4. I would have been 5, probably almost 6, actually. I already had a 8th grade spelling level and a college reading level, so I was pretty smart. We wouldn't find that out for a couple of months. My older brother taught me how to spell yes and no, and after that, I was a phenom. We've taught women in America that men are supposed to do what they want. And we've gotten to the point where we have taught them this for so long and so often, especially over the last 40 years. Men are not allowed to have opinions. Men are not allowed to state facts. Men are not allowed to have emotions. They're not allowed to express emotions. When they are harmed, they're expected to say nothing and to do nothing about it. When a woman does something, he is expected to shut up and just take it, and if he is been taught from what he can see with his own two eyes that a male victim who speaks up is going to be the one arrested. He has been taught that the American laws do not apply. What applies is people's opinions. Only people's opinions matter. We have taught women that they are to expect things from men and that the men are supposed to reciprocate it. They are supposed to give a woman what she wants right when she wants it. What did I want from Caitlin Cahill or Katie Cahill? I wanted her to tell the cops and the courts the things that she was telling me. I wanted her to help to show the cops and the courts the things that she was telling me were so horrible that people were doing in her Facebook group. She started a Natalie Bollinger Facebook group. It was the second one that she had created. They were both supposed to be about justice for Natalie. Kara Johnson Miles, one of my predators, Caitlin Cahill told me about. So did Shannon Alvarado. Shannon Alvarado even sent screenshots. But neither one of those women made any attempt to help me to turn that in. Neither one. Zero attempt whatsoever. Now, a lot of these women have been taught that they can hide behind their children when they do something fucked up. Oh, but my children, my children, my children. My children, my children, my children. We have taught every woman in America that's got kids that she can do this. I know lots of little girls throughout my life who wanted to have a baby because they thought if they had a baby, then that shows that they're a grown-ass adult and they don't have to listen to mommy and daddy anymore. One of the women who was offering me, I don't even remember her fucking name. She was a morbidly obese, redheaded young woman, 19, trolling for a baby. That's what she was interested in. That's what her timeline was full of. That's what she kept talking to me about. It's all about having a baby. And the way that she was interacting with me was more of the I want to be your girlfriend kind of thing. Claiming that she was going to help me with the Natalie thing. But here's the thing. She contacted me after, in one of my videos, I had explained that my dad, when I was quite a bit younger, he told me I needed to get a pretty wife so I had someone to show off and a fat girlfriend so I could still have fun. And ever since then, I've been attracted to fat women. Are fat women more fun? I don't know. I don't know. I know that whether somebody is fun to hang out with or not really is not dependent upon their gender. Sometimes it is dependent on their sex drive. If you're not interested in sex and they want to go and get some dick or get some vagina, they're not going to get either from you, so you're going to have less time to hang out. It happens. Now with Kara Johnson Miles, with me trying to turn her in, with me trying to turn her in alone and getting blown off by cops, having them talk over me and telling me that these are not crimes. Well, I guarantee you, you'll call them crimes if I do them, but you also know I'm trying to turn you in. So Kandace Edwards could not respect my boundaries, but wanted me to respect hers. When I respected her boundaries, she did not reciprocate. What it all comes down to with all of these people who wanted to help, there's a protocol to follow. Literally not one of them is following the protocol. Every one of them is wanting to argue with me like I'm retarded. Every one of them wants to argue with me like I'm retarded. All of them. Many of them tell me how intelligent I am and how they know how intelligent I am. And autistic people are all intelligent. We're all intelligent in some way, yes. We can't all communicate it, though. And of course, I send you the situation with respect. When you feel respected, you are less likely to be panicked. When you feel safe in your environment, you are less likely to be panicked. I sent a lot of people training videos. A lot of these parents of children who told me that they wanted to help me and they were going to help me, and it turned out that they weren't actually interested in helping me. It was just about them. Well, here's the thing about the protocols that I sent to them. These protocols and understanding these protocols is important for every one of their cases. The fact that I have established through evidence that this is protocol nationwide and how harmful it is to the victims when there are no teeth to the laws. These people are not following the proper protocol. When you have to go in alone, they are extremely harmful to the victim who goes in alone. The victim is treated like they're a predator because they went in alone. They must be guilty because they went alone. They cannot be a victim because they're alone, especially if they're a male, a disabled person, or a homeless person. Yes, there are a lot more services for homeless women than there are for homeless men, and therefore there's a lot less homeless women than there are homeless men. That doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of homeless women who have been victimized into homelessness. We got little girls getting raped by their dads, trying to tell their moms, but their mom doesn't care because she's one of those people who cares more about drugs and alcohol and the boyfriend who's not allowed around her anymore because he keeps beating on her when he's on drugs and alcohol. And she's going to do drugs and alcohol with this man who's not allowed to be around her kids. And she lets him move in. Again, that was Natalie Marie Bollinger's youth. And she never made it out of her youth. She was 19 years old when Joseph Michael Lopez blew her brains out. But let me tell you something. Those scars that were on her wrists when she was 13 years old, I knew what those were from. I got recordings with a lot of witnesses on my YouTube channel. I got recordings of a lot of evidence. I keep posting it up on my YouTube channel as I am able because of my abilities and disabilities. Those disabilities include financial disabilities because of the abuse by law enforcement in covering up their crimes. If you don't look at the evidence and verify that it exists, I will get blown off. The term mentally ill will be used to harm me and pretend like I'm fucking retarded. The same way that you pretend that I'm retarded. When instead of trying to understand, you want to tell me about how 144,000 autistic people are going to heaven. Jesus fucking Christ, shut the fuck up. You want to tell me how smart my people are with numbers. We should be able to do this because Jews are good with numbers. Autistics are good with numbers. Jews are good with numbers. Autistics are good with numbers. Jews are good with numbers. Autistics are good with numbers. You know what? No matter how many times you use that racist bullshit as an excuse to pretend that I can do these things myself, the fact is, being good with numbers doesn't mean that I have a bunch of money. Being good with numbers doesn't mean that I can make $800 or $600 pay for $1,600 worth of shit every month. I have to pay money that I don't have in order to move every time you tell me to move. When you tell me to let something go, what you're doing is you're telling me to let my predator get away and do it again. How many times did Robert Farnsworth here in Tillamook harass me and threaten my life? How many times? How many times just recorded on my YouTube? How many times was it on a church property? How many of those church staff have I recorded admitting that they were there for it? That they heard it loud and clear? That they knew that it was happening? That they knew who it was? And then they tell me, oh, well, I didn't see it. It literally happened on the other side of a door that was open with me and Robert Farnsworth both there, with him screaming at the top of his lungs at me, and I am recording this shit. I am recording him doing it to multiple other people. And over and over and over again, they allow this one mentally ill person continually victimize dozens of people in this town. Then the police try to discourage his victims. And one of Robert Farnsworth's friends, this sweet old lady in a Ford, and I do have her license plate because she has screamed out the window at me on multiple occasions while driving by. She thought that I should just let him do it because he's mentally ill. She wanted to use that as an excuse. It is not an excuse. Robert Farnsworth needs the kind of help that you guys pretend I need. That lady could be helping him to get that. It is obvious to the entire Scudder family, to his other victims like Lewis, aka Otter, and James, I believe his name is James Morrison, James Morris, maybe it's James Miller, I don't know. I got it recorded on one of these. The guy still lives here. He's got scaling on his skin. It's well, it's not a comfortable condition, and I used to know the name of it. We've got multiple people who are actually schizophrenic, and they are scary. They are scary. What's even scarier is how people will look the other way. According to the law, these mandated reporters should know the law. They are mandated reporters. You say how wrong it is that these churches are looking away from child molesters within their ranks, and now we have laws that make it so they're not allowed to do that anymore. No separation of church and state. If your religion thinks that it's okay to cover for child molesters, I'm not going to respect your religion, believe your religion, or care about your religion. What I care about are the victims. No victim left behind, not even if they're Christian. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that you should have to let a priest molest you and rape you. Just because you are a Christian child does not mean that it is okay for the other clergy to cover up for the crimes that are committed against you. Now, when it comes to crimes against children, the elderly, or the disabled, these are heinous crimes. You need to think of all of them as rape. The way that you think about rape, that is how you need to think of all crimes against the disabled, the elderly, and children. It's called a heinous crime. Heinous. Maybe that's a word you should look up. There's a lot of my mannerisms you guys don't like. I scratch my head a lot like a monkey. Now, sometimes I actually have an itch. Most of the time, I'm scratching it because it's one of them monkey moments. Huh? The fuck were you thinking? With Kandace Edwards, the stuff that she's typed to me already, I don't feel comfortable talking to her. She's wanting to threaten me with bodily harm and also with my predators. Wants to claim that I'm going to be arrested within 24 hours. Well, see, that's the thing, is that she wanted to be predatory. I have to worry about these predators in this town because of repeated actions that they have committed, repeated crimes against me, including trying to entice me not to turn in Robert Farnsworth. Oh, you don't need to get a protection order. Yes, I fucking do. Yes, I absolutely do. Without that protection order, he can do this again and again and again and again. Doesn't matter how much evidence I got, you're just going to call me mentally ill and use it as an excuse to ignore me or as an excuse to harm me. Now, why is it that all of these folks, their idea of helping me is to literally not follow the legal protocols? How did my public pretenders help me? By ignoring legal protocols and making it about God. No, there's a legal protocol. There is a set of legal things that I can do. I'm being cut off from access to the kiosk. When I do get access to the kiosk and I try to type that shit in there, I don't know how to use that thing, and the guards won't help me with that. I have to get an inmate to help me, which means that I have to give them some of my food in exchange for the service. When I finally was able to get it up and running, they showed me how to do the complaints part, because that's the most important part that I needed to do. I was being abused in the fucking jails everywhere I went. That's what it is really like when an officer like Waylon Lolatai harms you and then charges you with assault against an officer. That is a felony. And it goes on your arrest record. In order to get something removed from your arrest record, you need to spend a whole bunch of money. You are not guilty of that crime. They dropped the charges that they pressed on me because they didn't want to give up the body camera evidence, because a lot of fucking cops would have gone to prison. Half of Boulder fucking cops would have gone to fucking prison over that shit. There were a lot of fucking cops involved. People at the hospital would have gone to fucking prison for what they did. A lot of people were involved in trying to frame me for Natalie Bollinger's murder. And that includes trying to destroy my name. Trying to make me out to be some violent person who attacks cops who are just trying to help. They weren't trying to help. They were trying to fucking frame me for Natalie Bollinger's fucking murder. They were trying to use public opinion to make me a target and guarantee that I would be harmed anywhere that I went by any person who watched the fucking news. And harm me they did. And when I had a mental fucking breakdown over it, You use that as an excuse to harm me again and again and again and again. You tell me it's my fault. You tell me it's my fault because I eventually had a mental breakdown over long-term fucking abuse. Oh, we got ourselves another troll on here calling himself Notorious. And he just wants to type the same thing over and over again. So what do? Oh, come on now. Hide user on this channel. You see how easy that is? Let me ask you something. Caitlin Edwards told me that her daughter is having to live with her sexual predator. Can her daughter hide user on this channel? No. I'm being harmed over slander against me. Slander in the courts, slander in the media, slander in social media. And although you guys get that stuff that you post up all the time across my timeline about how important it is to protect your children and how social media is used to bully and harm people all the time, often resulting in people dying. How many people have we heard of on the news just in the last 2 months who were killed over something they posted on Facebook? How many of them were killed after posting about their predators on Facebook? How many times did I post about my predators on Facebook? For an entire year before Natalie was killed, I posted about my predators on Facebook. I posted up what really happened. And the evidence shows I'm the one that told the truth. But who helped me to get that evidence? All they want to do is argue. They don't want to hear what the evidence is or where it's at. They want to do their own thing on their own time. When they want me to do something, I'm expected to do it immediately. Jamie Curtis could have come forward about what she knew and about multiple situations instead of me having to record it and post it up. And now you get to hear with Jamie Curtis, you get to hear her screaming, "Take it down now!" She expects it right this moment. Like many women who looks are the most important thing to. She believes that it is owed to her to give her what she wants when she wants it because everybody else does. Same thing with Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa. But here's the thing. How many times has Jamie Curtis ever tried to claim that I sexually assaulted or molested her? She's never done so because it's never happened. Why is it that Natalie Bollinger never accused me of being a child molester or a rapist? Why is it that Alicia Bollinger never, ever accused me of being a child molester or a rapist? Neither one of these women did that. Maddie Boa, on the other hand, here's the thing that James Golden wasn't understanding. When he was abused by his ex-girlfriend, and she ran around slandering his name, and he literally had to flee the area for his own life and his own safety, which happens often. If you don't give her what she wants right when she wants it, you're a horrible person, and she will scream in your face about how you are ruining her life. And when you get sick of taking that abuse, and you get sick of her thinking that she gets to reset that free hit that she gets against men, every 30 seconds she's doing that, and you decide that you're fucking done with it, you can't leave. You can't kick her out of your house. You can't. You have to be afraid that she'll accuse you of being a child molester or a fucking rapist. Go running around and telling all your friends that you touch little boys, that you wear girls' panties. Any mean, fucking hateful, horrible, slanderous thing that she can think of, she's gonna go and say because she didn't get what she wanted right when she fucking wanted it. Because she was taught that's okay. She was taught that all she has to do is play victim, and people will literally fucking kill you over that. As a male, you can literally be fucking murdered over something like that. But with James, it's a he said, she said thing. He said, she said. He said, she said. I don't know his ex. I don't know if he actually sexually assaulted her. I don't know if it happened the way that he said it or not. He hasn't shown me any evidence. I've got evidence that I'm telling the truth. Natalie and Alicia both told multiple people about the people who raped them and molested them and had them selling drugs. Both of them told multiple people about Uncle Troy Bollinger. Natalie and Alicia told multiple people about their father, Ted Bollinger. But all those people, although they wanted to tell those things to me and verify those things to me, they should have told the public that, because the public was lied to. And because the public was lied to, the public helped Tim Beeson to get away, painted him as some sort of a good guy, helped Ted Bollinger get away, painted him as some sort of a good guy, gave them tens of thousands of dollars, posted up only their version, refused to listen to me, outright victimized the fuck out of me, the media, social media, the public, the police, the fucking courts, because of the term mentally ill. Mentally ill. You pretend that I'm a Robert Farnsworth. You pretend that I'm a Robert Franklin Warnick. You pretend that I'm a Tim Beeson. You pretend that I'm a Ted Bollinger. You pretend that I'm a Caitlin Edwards. You pretend I'm an Angela Wade. You pretend I'm an Andrew Witcher or an Amy Witcher. You pretend that I'm a Natalie Bollinger. You pretend that I'm an Alicia Bollinger and a Maddie Boa. You assign their sins to me. You assign their crimes to me. You assign their ignorance to me. It must be my fault. It's not my fault that we have taught women in America how to play victim, and almost to the exclusion of anything else. Girl power. Us girls got to stick together. We got to stick it to the men. You go back to the same guy who beat you repeatedly. And when he beats you again, you're going to go back to the same people. They're sick of fucking rescuing you. They're sick of you being stupid and going back. They're sick of feeling stupid and embarrassed because you begged them for help, and when they helped you, you left them fucking hanging. I need help getting away from my boyfriend. He keeps beating me up. 2 weeks later, I'm so lonely, I need him back. Well, you've been fucking him for a week and a half behind my back while still trying to get resources. Why are you still going back and having sex with him and pretending to me like you're fucking done with him? A lot of the women that I know are sick of this shit too. They're sick of other women coming to them and saying, oh, this guy keeps beating on me. This guy is violent. Lan Engline was sick of fucking Jerry Sparks doing that shit. Like, yeah, Ron Reeder was an abusive boyfriend who was throwing bottles at her fucking head, right? So then, when Miss Jerry wants to get back with Ron, she's going to do it clandestine and behind Lana's back and not tell Lana. And when Lana finds out, she's going to be pissed. After everything that me and Amanda and Sean did to help you get away from Ron Reeder, all the money that we spent, all of the time that we spent, even though Sean was the one that actually showed up in person to do the work. And then you're going to change your story when you want Ron back because you're sick and tired of dating Andrew Buchter because he's a pussy. He's a girly man. And you fucking complain about that. And then you say that's one of his redeeming qualities. Why call him a girly man to begin with? Why say he's too effeminate and then go back to him once you leave Ronald Reeder again? You're literally bouncing back and forth between two men. You're telling me that both of these men are abusive. And yeah, that was the situation. She was just a poor girl who needed help, and she's got children. Poor her, poor her. How many times did I help Miss Jerry move? 7 times. 7 times. But of course, Lana and I both did have consequences for helping Jerry. For me, you know what? It doesn't make me look stupid. I can't read people's minds and know whether or not they're telling the truth every single fucking time. What I do know is that if somebody is calling me and they're afraid of the situation that they're in, yeah, they might even lie to me about the situation. But in that moment, they are that scared. And I am trying to alleviate that fear by helping them to get to a place that is actually safe for them. But I have to know what is safe for them. If they already have a plan, they know more about their situation than I do. So if they already have a plan in place, it's probably a good idea to follow the plan. Her plan, she already had a place that she could move to. She already had borrowed money so that she could rent the U-Haul. Even I contributed to that on more than one occasion because, like I said, it happened 7 times. When she went back, yeah, it was kind of a pain in the ass for us because, I mean, we did put out a lot of our lives and a lot of our efforts to help Miss Jerry get away from Ronald Reeder, only for her to go back. Only for her to later invite him to come and live in a different state, the state that she's living in, very close to Lana and Amanda, who are afraid of this man because Miss Jerry has said that he was trying to throw things at her head. But then, of course, Miss Jerry's story is changing now. She wants to say, oh, well, he's just really expressive and talks with his hands, and he accidentally hit an empty bottle and it went on the floor, and it wasn't all that big a deal. You guys just made a big deal out of it. You guys made a big deal out of it. No, you called me up to tell me that a man was throwing things at your fucking head. Lana was pissed off about that too. You should have turned his ass in if he was doing that. Later on, you're changing your story when you go back. There's a lot of women that I know that they've gone to one of their friends for help. Male or female makes no difference. That friend is letting her stay in that house. There's a woman in Chapel named Rebecca, for example. She helped one of her friends. Her friend had been abused, was being physically assaulted by her husband, and Rebecca let her into the household, let her stay in the house for, well, it was 2 weeks before the woman decided to move out on her own. But here's what happened. 3 days after she claimed that she was beaten up, needed a rescue, and moved in with Rebecca, what did she do? She started texting because she was lonely. It was a new environment and she was scared. She didn't really know Rebecca and her house It wasn't an entirely familiar situation to her. She was lonely and alone. And she started texting back and forth with this guy, the honeymoon period, where he pretends he likes you, he want to be your friend, where he's sorry for what he did. And then, of course, you know, third day, fourth day, you start going back over and seeing him and talking with him and having coffee. And then, of course, because, well, you can't do that shit in a small town without people hearing. Now you have to have a public showing. This is very important. My mother made sure that every time that she abused Scott and then was able to manipulate his dumb ass into coming back, it was important to have a public showing. It was important to go out and have a date in public for everyone in town to see that you and Scott are getting along. You're back together now. By the way, Scott was the abused one in that situation, not my mom. Situations, I should say, because Scott's a little bitch. Mom knows that she can railroad him and use my little sister to try to get him to do what she wants. As far as Scott is concerned, my little sister Tara is his daughter. That's the only dad that Tara has ever known. And for my mom to tell Scott that he can't see my little sister until she turns 18, unless he does exactly what she wants when she wants him to, including doing that whole going out in public thing. So Rebecca, her female friend who had done this, and I can't remember her name at the moment, but I do know the lady, and I'll probably remember it right after I end the video. So she's staying with Rebecca, and she goes on this mandatory date with the husband who beats on her, so that everybody in town sees that they're together, they're talking to each other. There was no big problem, and somebody must have just blown it out of proportion. And Rebecca, for like a year and a half, she would not help anyone. She would not do anything for anybody because of how fucked up that was. She had gone to the police to ask the police what she's supposed to do in that situation. If my friend got beaten up by her husband, what am I supposed to do? She won't turn it in with me. She says that she should, but she won't. What am I supposed to do? And the cop tells her, well, we can't do anything unless the victim turns it in. But you can offer to turn it in with the victim. And she's more likely to turn it in. She's more likely to help turn it in. Now, keep in mind that this woman that is staying with her hasn't just said this to Rebecca. She's told the whole town. You know, that's how quick rumors get started and fucking eat up your life like wildfire. So this guy has got this reputation for hitting his girlfriend. It's not quite as bad as if you're charged with it, because if you're charged with it, they tell the whole town in the newspaper and on the radio. All of western Nebraska gets to hear the radio of what you were charged with. And that, for most of the population, is enough to assume that you're guilty. Assume that you're guilty because they heard you were charged with this. Did they heard that the charges were dropped because it was bullshit, because there was no fucking evidence? Did they heard that? Did they put that in the newspaper or on the radio? Fuck what you heard. Why don't you ask the person instead of telling them like you know better than them? When you get blindsided by, all right, I just helped my friend to move from South Dakota, northern Nebraska. I helped her move out of an abusive relationship where a man was throwing stuff at her head. Now, this is Lana and Amanda Engeline, of course, up there in Montana. They helped too. It was part of their finances to help Miss Jerry get that U-Haul. And they don't want to be around these predators. They've got kids. They don't want predators around their kids. They don't want violent men around their kids. They don't want Ron Reeder around their kids. And literally, Jerry Sparks has just moved this predator to Glatton Gateway, fucking Montana. Now he is within reach to harm Lana and Amanda's children. Amanda is Lana's only child, but Amanda's got kids of her own. No, Lana was not fucking happy about that. She wasn't happy about, well, her and Amanda are living in literally the same trailer park as Jerry Sparks at that time. Miss Jerry has painted Ron Reeder as a violent person, and she needed rescued. Her and her kids needed a safe place. Did we try to shove her into a homeless shelter? No, she's a woman. People were offering her a place to stay. Lots of people were offering her a place to stay, their own place. And many of these people, instead of being violent alcoholics like I had to stay with, a lot of these folks were nice Christian folks. How many nice Christian folks took me in? No, not a single one. The Christian folks who offered me help was to talk over me and to grossly reinterpret the Bible as law. Well, whatever it is that the Baptist Church, Catholic Church, Lutheran Church, and Assembly of God read in the Bible that they interpreted as if one of our clergy molests a child, we have to cover it up. That's not in the fucking Bible. And it's definitely against the law. Depriving a disabled person of their money, of access to medical resources, denying them legal resources and their legal rights. These are very major crimes. And there's a lot of women that I know that when it comes time to actually keep their word, every time they want to pretend there's some emergency and I have to feel sorry for them, and it's not their fault. It is your fault. It is your fault that you lied to me about those situations. Did you lie or did the cops? Did you lie or did the police? Your stories do not line up. The evidence that I have shows that you did in fact say the things that I claimed you said. The evidence does show that those officers did in fact say the things that I claimed they said. Are you a liar or are they? When I say that you never ever helped me because you never tried to help me to turn it in, that is literally what I meant. All of the other things that you want to tell me and throw in my face that you did, according to the police, those things never happened. You didn't help me because you didn't come forward about those things to the courts and to the police. Those of you who claim that you did have zero evidence of it. Unlike you, I recorded it. Now, when I was on the phone with Kandace Edwards, and that guy and Fred Myers come up to me and told me that I couldn't hang out there, I wasn't hanging out there. I was a fucking customer. And I was doing something that many other customers do in there. I was not breaking the law. I certainly wasn't breaking Starbucks policies. I didn't have to be a customer because it's Starbucks. Fred Myers, in order to have Starbucks in their store, has to follow the corporate policies. Now, why am I not fighting it? I'm a fucking homeless person. Nobody here gives a shit. I've already been victimized repeatedly by police who have helped my predators to get away and victimized others in front of me repeatedly. How do you think I feel about recording a sheriff's deputy getting out of his vehicle without saying a word running up to a 14-year-old girl, grabbing her, taking a running start to slam her into the side of his fucking vehicle. You can hear the clunk. And then he slams her to the ground. Now, there was a lady who was screaming that he slammed her to the ground. I'm like, I didn't see that. That is not what it looked like to me. And then I looked at the video and I went, holy shit. Holy fuck, he did. And I got to go to his friends to try to turn him in. This is a small town. They are friends. If I go to the hospital is automatically going to assume the cops are right. If I go to the cops about the abuse at the hospital, they're going to blow me off, talk over me, and try to look for excuses to fucking arrest me or have me locked up. Now, I needed her to understand that in the situation that I'm in, this is Kandace Edwards, of course, I needed her to understand that I don't have a bunch of money, that in the environments that I'm in, I am subject to being victimized at all points in time. I am subject to people being, of course, obsessed with their hatred of hobos, especially male hobos, and not liking things that are unpretty. They're fine with them four retired law enforcement in there being racist assholes every goddamn day. Well, that's against Starbucks policy. You're good. The guy was pointing at me. There were some folks behind me. They're fine. I wasn't gonna back into them. The thing is that we have trained women to cry wolf, to manipulate us out of our resources. When they go back, it is hurtful. When Rebecca's friend, she found out that her friend was back together with the guy that was beating on her, because Rebecca got to hear from the whole town about how she'd gone to Sweden Cream right on Main Street there and was having the public necessary date. And then she comes back to Rebecca's house and says, well, you know, he didn't mean to, and I was out of line a bit, and you know, I blew it out of proportion. Are you going to tell the rest of the town you blew it out of proportion? No. At that point, Rebecca was being treated by all those people in town like she's the one that blew it out of proportion, while her friend is the one that I heard it from. Oh, my husband was hitting me, so I'm staying with Rebecca. Okay. Is Rebecca helping you to turn it in? Well, you know, I don't want to have any problems. I just want to be done with it. Okay. Well, I had a couple of friends of mine come up to me 2 days ago and tell me that you were telling them about it, and that you were extremely angry about it, and that you were, of course, distraught and crying and talking about how you were afraid to go back, how he might beat you to death. You ran around to a lot of people and told this stuff to them. But now Rebecca, your close friends, you didn't tell them. You told a bunch of basically strangers that he was beating on you. Oh, and you also told his parents and his sister and his brother. And then, of course, Rebecca, being this nice lady who's trying to help you out, actually trying to help you out how you need by providing you with an actual safe environment. You are choosing to go back to an unsafe environment. And you're also choosing to allow Rebecca to to be victimized by the citizens of Chapel, Nebraska, because she should have minded her own business. That's right. Their advice is that when you came to her because you were being beaten on, she should have said, hey, I'm sure there's a homeless shelter in Scotts Bluff 2 hours away. You know, you can go to a homeless shelter in Scotts Bluff. You can go to a homeless shelter in North Platte. It's not my business. It's not my business. And there's a reason for that. Americans know that false shit like that happens all the time. When that woman is changing her story about whether or not she was abused, she's making herself out to be crazy, and nobody wants to hear her after that. You know, the first time that you got beaten up and I helped you, or Lana helped you, or Amanda helped you, or Rebecca helped you, you made yourself out to be crazy, and then made me out to be crazy for helping you. No, Rebecca was not going to help anybody else after that. When did she finally start helping people again? When her and her husband broke up. She needed help moving out of the house, and she got a hold of me. And yes, I helped her. Me and her don't talk anymore because one of the predators that was calling me and harassing me, and I've had people show me that this is actually true, that they can call me from a phone number in Saskatchewan, British Columbia, or even Sweden. One of them was, I'm pretty sure, I want to say it was Sweden or Switzerland. Somebody who was standing right next to me called me from a number in Switzerland using one of their special apps. So I don't know how any of this shit works. What I do know is that there was a situation with Rebecca at the time, and this lady had a voice that sounded like Rebecca's. So I let Rebecca know that I got to block her for safety reasons. I don't know if it was Rebecca or not. I haven't reached out to Rebecca. I've had to be afraid to. I did reach out to some of her family members, but their Facebook profiles are inactive and have been inactive for a while. I have no safe place to go. I need to turn in the police intel on the people that I was supposed to call. Well, we did finally make a call when it was too late to make that call and actually get a hold of a human being. That's the situation with Kandace Edwards here. I've been here for 3 months trying to get someone to listen and to care. And in that 3 months, the more abuse that I take at the hands of the churches, the clergy, and the police over people like Molly, Tom, and of course, Robert Farnsworth. All these places that I'm sent to, there are always people who are offended by homelessness and will fucking call the goddamn cops on you. You will be harassed for hanging out, even if you are a customer. Even if you purchase things more often than all of the other people in the Starbucks, you are just hanging out. You're just apparently a druggy hobo who's in there in between rapings or something. You get to see how Stephanie Larkin, after her crazy bullshit, her tarot cards tell her what to think. Her tarot cards. Brandon Jeffson does the same thing. His tarot cards. He's a Christian, and tarot cards, and Christianity, and tarot cards. And ignorance of the law. When the law doesn't suit you, you go to God. When that doesn't suit you, you consult the tarot cards. Then you were going to call me the next morning. You understood that I was not able to do anything after 10. You were going to make these calls with me in the morning. You promised, you promised, you promised. You broke all your promises, Kandace Edwards. You broke all of your promises. Those promises were the promises to help me how I needed, and you broke every single one of them. Then with the, all right, well, we'll make a half-assed attempt when it's too late to do anything. And then after that, we're going to shove you a whole bunch of resources that are hundreds of miles away. Knowing you don't have any money to travel, you're going to continue to push this. You're going to tell me to go to the churches. I've been to the churches, and I'm trying to explain that to you. One of the churches gave me gas 3 different times. They wouldn't help me turn in my predators. That was First Christian Church, where I was abused at their church. At their church. Repeatedly. And so were many others by Robert Farnsworth at their church. He goes inside and plays all lovey-dovey. They literally just heard him screaming at people that he was going to harm them, including kill some of them, myself included. Screaming out false accusations, calling Otter a child molester, calling this Jim feller a child molester, calling me a pedophile, claiming that he saw in a vision that this Jim feller has a walk-in closet that's a child molesting friggin' sanctuary for torturing children sexually. There's a bunch of witnesses sitting there. Their faces are on fucking video. Lots of people were there for that. Robert Farnsworth, well, it eventually resulted in him assaulting multiple people and also being assaulted by multiple people. He should have been protected. And we should have been protected from him. The cops should not be helping him to get away with committing these crimes. Just like the cops should not have helped Robert Franklin Warnick to get away with his crimes. Just like they shouldn't have helped Amy Kalina Kingery get away with her crimes. Just like they shouldn't have helped Alicia Bollinger and Ted Bollinger and Tim Beeson to get away with their crimes. And then I owe it to you because I'm a male. We're supposed to do this equality thing. You say, teach your boys that cooking is a life skill, not a woman's chore. Well, teach your daughters. No, not teach your daughters. Teach your children that changing a fucking tire on your car is a life skill. Changing your oil is a life skill. How long does it take you to teach your daughter to change the oil? Probably the same amount of time it takes to teach your boy. Don't teach your boys it's never okay to hit a woman. Teach your boys it is always okay to defend themselves and you will back them up. Teach your girls the same thing. It is always okay to defend yourself. It's not okay to start a fucking fight, but it is certainly okay to finish it. If a person is harming you over and over and over again and you're not allowed to do anything about it, you're not allowed. When you are assaulted, you're not allowed to punch the person who is punching you repeatedly. You're not allowed to punch them back. If you were called mentally ill and you are a male, and especially if your assailant is a female. Now let's look at how bias, not law, decides life and death. 96% of those murdered by police are men. 96%. Why is that? Is it because men are more violent? It's no, absolutely not. Men are not more violent. Women are taught that they can get away with violence. Men are taught that if they speak up about violence from women, they will be ostracized and victimized until they kill themselves. That is literally how it is. Now, who is it that accused me of molesting them? Nobody. To this day, nobody. To this day, not one person has ever accused me of molesting or raping them. Not one. Not a single one. Not even one. Zero. 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 Not even one person. Maddie Boa claimed that I molested Natalie and Alicia. Maddie Boa. No proof. No evidence. And look at how many, literally thousands of people have now taken part in this. In 6 years' time, that's a lot of fucking abuse. Meanwhile, the people who claim they're going to help me won't stop abusing me. When you let the victim know that you don't care what they have to say, you don't care what the protocols are, you will only do it your own way. We have to do it your way. There's a legal route, but you're going to ignore the legal route, tell me that the legal route doesn't work, make zero attempt to go the legal route, and constantly try to shove me on other people and other organizations. No, the protocol as a disabled adult is to go to a trusted friend or family member. I don't have one. You've shown me you can't be trusted. You can't stop talking over me. That shows me you have no respect for me. That shows me that we are not friends. When you will only pretend that you're going to help me, if I buy the things that you want, I pay for your gas, I pay for your pot, I pay for your beer, I pay for your husband's beer, your boyfriend's beer, I pay your fucking rent. I pay your fucking computer bill. I buy you a computer. I can't do it without a computer, Sean. Well, if I buy you a computer, can you help? Yeah. All right. How much did I pay Mandy Singer? $400 cash. And what was the deal that we made? She was going to get a computer and anything on top of it. Because see, I was able to get a computer for $250, one of them for $199. Both of them would have worked just fine. What did Mandy Singer buy? She bought a fucking tablet for $250. It took her fucking 2 goddamn months to purchase the goddamn thing because she was going to wait until it went on Christmas sale. She did not try understanding the situation at all. At all. Then she told me that the rest of the money, which was supposed to be $20 an hour for her to help me, and that I would pay her $20 an hour to help me. She did accept the money. Then, of course, her daughter works at Walmart, so we have to wait until a Christmas sale and her daughter gets a special discount, and then she can finally buy a computer, and she buys a fucking tablet. A tablet that, by the way, is weaker than the phone that she has. But it's kind of like mine. It's got the little keypad thing attached to it. Well, I don't use my keypad thing anyway, so I just basically wasted an extra $100 when I could have gotten a pad that didn't have one of those things on it for $99. Same brand. Oh well. When the victim is trying to turn in their predator, the last thing you should be doing is trying to talk them out of it. The last thing that you should be doing is trying to pawn them off on other people. The last thing that you should be doing is talking over them and talking about yourself. The last thing that you should be doing is when they tell you something is harmful to them, and you do literally only that, when you promise them that you're going to help them how they need, And you don't keep your appointments. Us girls got to stick together, right? The Me Too movement does not apply to males. We get to see how completely and totally I am disrespected, but also you get to see that I'm mean back. If you're going to be mean to me, I can be mean back. Stephanie Larkin wanted to try pretending that I'm a pedophile. Who's protecting pedophiles? Well, Stephanie Larkin, who are you claiming that I was a pedophile to? Are you trying to pretend that I touched your child, Stephanie Larkin? Are you trying to pretend like I molested you when you were a child? What pedophile are you claiming that I am helping to get away? Are you claiming that Rihanna Ingersoll is a pedophile? I don't have any evidence of that. Not one person has ever come to me and told me, Sean, Rihanna Ingersoll molested me. Not one person. So as far as protecting Rihanna Ingersoll, claiming that I'm protecting pedophiles, and literally you're posting up a video with me being harmed by the police for trying to turn in pedophiles. Oh, but they're not going to watch that, are they? They're just going to assume that you're telling the truth. Well, if they watch the video, they'll realize that I was trying to turn in pedophiles. That wasn't the first fucking phone call. That wasn't the first phone call I made about that. Was I protecting pedophiles? No, I was trying to protect those children from physical assaults. Not sexual assaults, physical assaults. She was hitting them wherever the fuck she wanted. But also, it was a very volatile situation where those girls were throwing things. They were literally throwing things that if they would have hit me or Anna or either of them in the head, it could have killed them. Or us. Those girls were violent. And a lot of you want to be assholes to me because I'll make excuses for those girls. No, those girls were doing desperate things to get out of a violent situation. The fucked up things that they were doing were because they were fucking scared shitless of Rihanna. They were also scared shitless that I was going to take Rihanna's side. The fucked up thing is, by the time her daughter, with the 911 on speed dial, getting ready to press it, I encouraged her to do so. I told her I would be on her side. She said, you're going to be on Rihanna's side because she's your friend. By that time, I'd already called anonymously multiple occasions to try to get those girls safe. Rihanna kept doing the whole, oh, us girls got to stick together, us girls got to stick together. And then getting drunk, watching the Bates Motel, and smacking the girls around some more. Those girls didn't want to be stuck in that fucking trailer with two old fucking fogies. They wanted to be out having fun with kids their own age. They didn't want to hang out with Rihanna Ingersoll, who wanted to ignore them to watch the Bates Motel. They didn't want to get fucking smacked the fuck up. And yeah, me and Rihanna Ingersoll had been friends for years. 20 years we had been friends. 20 years we had known each other. Rihanna Ingersoll. One of those recordings with her, she starts off blaming me, saying that I blamed her for everything for 20 years. No, she was projecting the shit from her and her husband. I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. But when I spoke about her alcoholism, both of Amy Kalina Kingery's daughters can tell you about that. They can tell you how much she consumed. It was a lot. Rihanna Ingersoll's dead now. She is no longer alive, but her voice is recorded. I guess for posterity. With Kandace Edwards calling me, and of course a restricted number calling me. And Kandace Edwards being all threatening because she didn't get what she wanted right when she wanted it. Things didn't happen her way. I didn't let her be an overbearing, horrible power monger with me. No matter what she said, she always reverted to only doing what she wanted. There's a legal process to follow. We need to follow the legal fucking process. There is a legal process. You throwing 400 different fucking things at me that have nothing to do with my fucking case isn't help. You're giving me more stuff that I have to read, stuff that you want me to read. You're not going to look at any of my evidence. You haven't, and you're not going to try. You tell me to send all this shit to your fucking emails. I send it to your fucking emails, and what do you fucking do? You don't fucking reply to any of it. I have no indication that you've seen any of it, that you have even attempted to look at any of it. When I try to explain to you that you can't make a Sean Schwartz profile, making a profile for me in my name, you can't do that. That has been repeatedly used to harm me. I am called mentally ill. I don't get to speak up for myself. I don't get to say in court, Caitlin Edwards fucking made that fake Sean Schwartz profile. They don't even have to show what Sean Schwartz profile it is. They just make the claim, and the cops make sure and guarantee that I'll be in jail so I can't show up. Hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Bollinger family. We'll take care of it. We'll make sure that Sean doesn't make it to court. We will guarantee you that Sean Schwartz will not be able to make it to court. We will guarantee you that none of his evidence will be allowed in court. We can guarantee you this. Don't even worry about it. You fill out the false charges, and we'll make sure that he can't make it. We will guarantee you, as officers of the law, that we will prevent your victim from being able to testify against you, face his accusers, or show fucking evidence. Do I have to have any such phone call of the sort in order to prove it? Actually, no, I don't. Their actions proved it. The words that the officers spoke versus the ones that the Bollingers and their fucking nut jobs spoke versus the ones that my supposed friends and family spoke. The words of the officers like Amanda Jonas versus Alyssa Rainwater and Mandy Hughes. Now, Alyssa Rainwater and Mandy Hughes were both aware that Scott DaCosta was one of my predators, and they were going to help me to turn them in. Now, there's lots and lots and lots of witnesses. Jace, J-A-C-E, Chapel Witness. C-H-A-P-P-E-L-L-W-I-T-N-E-S-S. You can hear his voice, his own words. I am in an unsafe situation, and rather than help me out, Kandace Edwards and Stephanie Larkin have done everything that they can to make things worse. And of course, to, what? Cry wolf. Me Too movement means that every woman who commits a crime against you can cry wolf and win. Every woman who wants to pretend that she was a victim because you told on her automatically wins because Me Too. Me Too is a group of people who will gang stalk you over false accusations. They will especially do these things to males. Primarily and nearly exclusively. Now, it is said that people don't often make false charges. Well, when they're fucking strung out on drugs and they're doing harmful shit to you and they don't want consequences, you might want to rethink it. How many times have your junkie family members tried to turn it on you because they're fucking junkies? How many of those junkie family members did you kick out of your household for that? And now they're out on the streets victimizing us like that. How many? If that person's going to do it to family, they'll definitely do it to us. You want to talk about how all these junkies who are your family members are all narcissists. A lot of them were abused. Their gateway drug wasn't marijuana or beer. Their gateway drug was abuse. It's trauma. I can, to some degree, understand Caitlin's trauma, but she's unwilling to listen to the differences between a woman and a man going through this. She's unwilling to listen to the legal processes that need to be followed, or why. She's got it in her own head that she knows better than me because 144,000 autistic people are going to heaven. 144,000 autistic people are going to heaven. 144,000 autistic people are going to heaven. You know why she doesn't know anything about autism? Because she's busy talking about how 144,000 autistic people are going to heaven. How many Christians reached out to me to threaten to cut off my balls and cut my throat and a lot of hateful things like that? And when I tried to turn them in, I get told I just need to let it go, let it go, let it go. Caitlin Edwards obviously knows how to go to the police. She's obviously threatening me with the police. She's already been informed and is well aware that the police here in Tillamook have already been predatory towards me and that I need a safe environment away from them. But she's also not understanding my resources. She's wanting to talk over me and not understand what resources I have access to. Just because you have access to it doesn't mean I do. When you want to tell me about Alabama, 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 Alabama as your help to me, I don't live in Alabama, as you have pointed out, probably 50 times easily. I'm not in Oregon. I know. That's why we're doing it across the phone. That's why it has to be done across the phone instead of in person. This is the reason that I am sending you evidence the best that I can over the internet in exactly the places that you're telling me to. Not that you're looking at it, because you're not. At least you're telling me that you're not. And at least I was able to record that. But, of course, I no longer have a place where I can go and safely do that. I don't have that hotel room anymore. The things that you wanted to expect me to do, there were things that I needed that hotel room for. All right? So that I could turn in these things without being kicked out. Without being treated like I'm just hanging out. Instead of spending $6 at a Starbucks in a day so that I can utilize that time, I have to spend $260. That's $130 a day. $130 a day for an office space. For some peace and fucking quiet, where I don't have to look over my shoulder for fucking police officers or a manager who wants to pretend that I'm just hanging out. And even then, at that hotel, even with me renting it, I had the staff there come up to me and tell me that I couldn't just park there. It was a private parking lot. And I had to explain to them, I'm renting a room here. Here's my room key. And that guy's name was Tyler, and he was very kind to me after that. Well, nice. Laughed at my stupid jokes, even told me a little bit about him being victimized. Some of his situations and some of the situations other men that he knows were in. You are taught that a man, anytime he opens his mouth, it's mansplaining, and that you don't need a man. You don't need to listen to a man. You don't need this. You don't need that. You will type 100 times in a month that you don't need a man, while also in that month you are mooching off of men, borrowing off of men, begging off of men, skeezing everything that you can off of men and saying you did it all yourself. You mean you manipulated people, and you consider that doing it all yourself. You manipulated somebody into changing a tire for you because you were A, too lazy to do so yourself, or B, too lazy to even learn to begin with. You expect a man to do it while you talk about what a strong, independent woman that you are. While you talk over men and treat them like they're all dogs. Bullshit. I ain't playing that, homie.